Hello, everyone. My name is Maz, and this is Speak Your Split, where I interview players vying to win AEL's Summer 2025 split. Today, I am joined by Girltwink CEO.
You can call
Um,
me Erin.
um, how's it going?
It's going great. It's a nice Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely, very excited to speak with you. Kind of get your perspective on the last 2 weeks of games since we've started here. I kind of just want to go straight into it because um kind of relate a lot to you in being kind of a newer player, in kind of bigger competitions and stuff like that. So I'm really interested to kind of get your point of view and see how much I guess we're similar, in our starting splits and everything like that. Um, but the first question I have, is, are you enjoying your first competitive split? Like, how are you enjoying this right
Yeah, definitely enjoying it. There's been a lot of stuff to work out with Ionia Green, and we've been tackling it piece by piece. I think it's been a great change from some of those kind of pick up in-house tournaments I've referenced playing in before. And it's really refreshing because my experience in those is that you get a bunch of players on a team where not everybody's on the same page. Not everybody's even in it playing to win, and coming into Aegis, it certainly feels like everybody is putting their best foot forward. Everybody on my team is, and it is really enjoyable.
yeah, I honestly I feel that before this. My biggest thing was I love to do Clash with my friends, and I've always been extremely competitive about Clash. And even though my interview last time didn't work, and one of the questions I had for the trivia game I did with Proton, uh, was how many times have I won Clash since it's begun? I've played in 41 Clash tournaments, and I've won twice. So I have a 5% win rate in Clash.
Mhm.
And that kind of just stems from like clashing ideologies of like, when I play Clash, I want to win it all, and when my friends play Clash, they're not really looking to do something like that. They're looking for a fun couple of matches that are a little more competitive than norms, but not as competitive as ranked. And I think, um, I completely understand where you're coming from in like wanting that next step in competition. Um, so absolutely, I get that. Um, yeah. So you mentioned that you used to play in like pickup in houses. Um, how
Yeah,
how how long did you do that for?
couple of years on and off, honestly. It was through another friend group of mine. One of the players just started organizing them into tournaments, and then that got became a whole thing. But that was still players from, Iron all the way up to at one point we started having challenger players,
Oh,
and it would get there was a lot of players, and it would get split, so it wasn't quite Iron players in the same games as challengers, but it was still, Iron in the same game as low emerald, and then high emerald in the same game as challenger.
okay.
And that creates a lot of problems and a lot of interesting gameplay experiences that you can think of or expect from that, especially when half of the players are just there to play with their friends.
Yeah. Um, what like how did you do in those? Like I don't know if that was something you kept track of, or if it was um just you kind of throwing some shit around, but like were you consistently like someone always wanted on your team?
I did well enough. I was always very middle of the pack in that. I've been kind of plat emerald for a long time, which puts me kind of jumping between the two different brackets that we had in that group there. And it was not a great experience personally because I was either the best player one of the best players in the bracket because I was put in the lower bracket, and then like that's a particular experience, and I'm relied on to carry every game, or I'm put in the upper bracket, and then I'm one of the worst players, and nobody expects anything of me, and I get run over every game. So that was not the most exciting.
Okay.
I did have enough fun, but eventually, I wanted to try something a little different.
Yeah, completely fair. I mean, I went into competitive with my friend Rudy. I mean, he's been in the scene for I think maybe 3-ish years now. Um, I was always kind of
Hmm.
hesitant about it, but Yeah, I understand that, where it's like at a certain point you kind of reach the apex of like of what you can do in certain circles and stuff like that. And for me, that was like my friend group. And I still love playing with them. But the truth is that like, it's it's easy, and it's when it's easy, it's not always the most fun. Um,
Yeah.
so I completely understand that motivation of wanting to get set up in there. So is Ionia Green, like I have never heard of this org before. Is this something you and your friends made up? Is this a pre-existing org? Like what's going
Yeah.
on there?
Yeah. With that, we are a bunch of friends that are all on a server called Ionia. It is it is an offshoot server of, if you have ever heard of Coach Curtis or Broken by Concept podcast, it is an offshoot of their coaching program where a bunch of people created just like a hangout server to be a little bit more casual in. And one of the people in there kind of organized people into teams and did some tryouts and put together a couple of teams and said, get going, get started. Here are here's some or tournaments you can apply to if you feel like if you feel like everything works out after some scrims. And that was a couple months ago. So we've been scrimming, we've been practicing, we've got some coaches, some of our other friends from that group that are a little bit higher rank, and we felt like once Aegis signups rolled around that we really wanted to try.
Yeah, wow, that is really interesting. I what like is this like a completely different, is this like a totally different vibe, I suppose? Like I don't know how much you practiced when you were doing like in-houses and stuff like that, the pickups, but like is the scrimming, the scouting and all of that, is that like just a completely different vibe than what you're used to?
It's pretty different, yeah. There wasn't a ton of practice for those that pick up in houses, and we would like try to organize, get stuff together to make sure we could like draft a team comp, no matter what team I ended up on. But like this is kind of another level because like I said, we also have a couple of people that are um coaching us as well and looking at the scrims, and that is a very structured approach that I really appreciate, from the standpoint of both learning more about how to improve at League and learning more about how to play League in a competitive setting with 5 people on comms.
Okay. The most practice I did with my friends when we were prepping for Clash was like, oh, let's fucking throw ourselves into a 5-man flex and see how that
Yep,
works out, right? You would that was your practice, that
exactly.
was your scrim, and I mean, I think everyone can express the same sentiment that flex kind of sucks ass. It's not a very
Yeah.
good it's not a very good atmosphere. It's very low. It's low stakes. It's not good practice. And it's just like a mental thing for me. I mean, like, I don't personally care a whole lot about solo queue or flex queue, but when it comes to scrims, I always want to make sure that like if I'm winning, it's because the stuff I practice is clicking now, and if I'm losing, I'm learning from what is not going right. Whereas like
Hmm.
I get double killed in bot lane in solo queue. I'm like, okay, I don't care. Go next, man. Like I just it doesn't matter to me. Um, so yeah, absolutely. I uh I agree. Um, Going from I mean, I'll just kind of go off of how I used to feel when I first joined Aegis, which was fall 2024. um I know I was extremely nervous before my first match, and that feeling has never quite really gone away. Like it doesn't matter who I face, if it's the lowest tiered team in my group or the highest. I'm always nervous right before my matches. Um, is that something you experience going into these games, or are you always like calm, cool, collected? Like this is just like any other match. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna, how does what's your feelings going into these matches, and then is it much different than going into your in-house matches?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely some nerves here. Are a lot of players who appear to have quite a lot of experience in this sort of format, and at least for me, that's a little bit intimidating. It's something I'm working on, and I think that does show through in my gameplay so far. But I am also excited and really looking forward to learning from a lot more of these established players as well. As far as but going into in-house like those pickup matches, I didn't really feel that there. The most I would feel is like some stress when I was like expected to carry or something, and this is definitely a lot different.
But it's good that you're adapting to it and you're not letting it really affect you all that much, and you understand that when it comes to stress that there are things that can be taken away from it that are positive impact. Like I know I say I'm stressed, but I don't really mean it as like an awful thing for my health. It's because I want to perform, I want to do good, and I want to be able to win these matches, right? So I'm glad that
Yeah,
that's something you're kind of also being able to take away from that experience.
I was just gonna say, for instance, our last week's match against Iridescent Dawn, Blasco, and um, that was definitely challenging. We were also playing with a sub that we haven't practiced as much with, but I was able to get the games looked at after by my coach, and he pulled out some really helpful things that will. I've I've got new stuff to focus on for the next week, and I really think that I appreciate being able to look at a series that did not go well on paper and get something out of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, having that mindset is even in Emerald. Like I know it sounds
Yeah,
super cliche and whatever, but like having the right mindset for competitive is super crucial, because if you're someone who takes goes 0-2 or 2 or 1-2 in a series, and you crash out and you're just fucking frustrated, it's not good for your team, it's not good for you. It's hard to mentally shift from that. So it's good that you have that mindset already, where it's like, even if I'm losing, I can take something away from this, I can get better, it's gonna be a positive learning experience despite my feelings from the loss. And it's good that you bring that up, because I actually do want to talk about your guys' record. So right now, unfortunately, you guys are sitting at 0-2 in the standings. Um, and I do want to just kind of go through each week and talk about what's been kind of going on.
yeah,
So I think week one, who did you guys took on? CC in houses, right? Yeah.
yes.
And you guys you guys lost 1-2. Um, what what happened? Like, was it nerves? Was it like a complete stomp? Was it competitive through and through? Or was it just like minor mistakes that like led to the game kind of spiraling out of the control?
Yeah, I would say that the match versus CC and houses felt pretty competitive. Um, that was a 1-2 series, and looking back at the two games we lost, we definitely saw opportunities for us to have won either of those games. They played really well. They exploited our mistakes, but we're really working on it. It really illuminated some key stuff with comms and big team fight decision making that we took away as a team, and we're continuing to work on there. So great first introduction, and already something that we're taking something away from and learning.
Okay. And then just going not into week, yeah, no, into week two, because IDB
Yes,
Blastcone is who you guys took on. And that match was
yes.
unfortunate, or that series was rather. That was a 0-2 loss. It always sucks to lose like that. I mean, at the end of my last split last year in winter, literally last match of the split just before going into playoffs, we got 2-0'd. Um,
Yes.
and I mean, it really feels bad to lose like that sometimes. Um, Same question, like what kind of what was wrong? Like, have was it you guys haven't been able to improve on those mistakes quite yet? Was it like I said, a stomp? Was it competitive? What?
Yeah, for that series there were a couple of factors, you know. We do have that sub and it's just not something that we've worked out yet to practice with our subs regularly. So that always introduces challenges when you're bringing someone in who doesn't have a ton of practice with the rest of the team, especially when it's in the jungle role and you know that tends to impact every lane quite a lot. Our sub is great. This is by no means like to flame them. They actually popped off in game one, and I'm really happy that they were able to kind of help us out in that spot. But it did have that impact on the gameplay, and then after that, really, I think there was more of a just a few key mistakes that kind of took each game and completely threw it out the window. Unfortunately, I can think of some cases with you know there was one case I believe my ADC flashed forward into four people in the middle of a
Oh,
team fight, which was quite unfortunate. I had my more than my fair share of deaths myself, and it's just another one of those things where we're taking stuff away individually, and we're really looking forward to getting back as a full non-sub team here on next Thursday.
for sure. Yeah, playing with subs. I mean, I don't think it's ever a dig. It's just, you spend so much time with your main five squad, right? Even just before this, right? Like just all the scrim practice and everything you guys had, it it starts to get to a point where like some things just are just unsaid, right? Like it's expected of people, and when you throw someone entirely new into that mix, um, it can really disrupt the systems that have already been in place with how you communicate and what should be said and who makes calls and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, for me, I have that experience, and especially with some of my other team members don't have any competitive experience or anything really like remotely close. It's been a long adjustment period over the couple months of scrims we run, and we're still working on it for you know going into Aegis that we really are still in the process of getting on that same page, getting to really understand when we draft a disengage comp, you know, how to properly play the 5v5 front to back, or how to play pick comps correctly, and you know when to turn off objectives, and all the really nitty gritty that takes us from five players playing together to like a good competitive team.
It's really interesting to kind of hear the process going behind, I guess, such a new squad and just and new players in general. Is there anyone amongst your team who is kind of, I want to say, like a seasoned veteran, but just someone who has played in like these uh competitions? Like, we have Aegis, there's BOL, there's Titan. Is there anyone in your squad who has that seniority there?
I don't think so. I actually don't recall specifically asking, at least not among the players. For us, I believe that none of us have, if memory serves.
Wow.
They can feel free to roast me in our team chat if that's wrong later. But for the coaches, yes. So we are being coached partially by Canuck Boss, who has, I believe, played in Aegis before, and then played in or is familiar with some of the other leagues. Um, then our another of our coaches is goes by underqualified. I don't recall if he's explicitly played in any leagues, but he has had a fair amount of knowledge of them as well. So maybe he has or hasn't. Gotten some good advice from him.
Okay.
And then our third coach kind of organizes things more. I have no idea on him. I speak to him a little bit less, but we do have a coaching squad that's a lot more familiar with the competitive
Oh,
scene.
okay. That is really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a full squad of, I guess, five rookies. I mean, again, if you guys aren't rookies, correct us in the Ages chat. But if you guys are genuinely five rookies, that is really impressive. Um, I do want to say I do want to see you guys pick up, and I mean, I obviously you guys do too, but um, I
Mhm.
love an underdog story. They're one of my favorites. I would absolutely love to see you guys really claw back so strong, and it's those are just the most fun narratives to watch, always, regardless. So I am wishing you guys luck going into week against Shadow Garden. Um, yeah, wow, that is really interesting. Um, on the topic of you guys being rookies, um, two other people have kind of entered the content realm. You have Zed, who I interviewed in week
Mhm.
one, and I think it's Winter.
Is
I
it?
I'm pretty sure it's Winter. And they oh, and also fucking Proton Plat player, Jesus. Um, um, but they have done some rankings, and I am curious to kind of get your thoughts on them. Um, do you think where your team was placed is warranted? Do you think that you guys should be higher? Do you think it's fair?
I was gonna say, I think that we are pretty unknown and we haven't necessarily shown a ton of reason for people to put a lot of faith in us yet. So I very much understand the ratings. I can't say that I'm not motivated
Prove
to
them
improve
wrong.
by them, but I do want to see in particular Zed give me the respect that I think the lanes in our last match deserve. After seeing him maybe not have the best laning performance at least, so can't speak the same about the rest of the game, but I do know I was kicking him around in lane a little bit.
But that is, yeah. I mean, that's how anyone feels. I think when faced with a low rating, is like, fuck you, like
Yeah,
like
exactly.
fuck you. I'm gonna do better. That I mean, that's always been something I've taken to heart. Is I always want to be better, and I always want to be the best. Um, so yeah, yeah, absolutely, completely get that. I would say it's a pretty fair thing. I think in week one when I did the interview with Zed, um, it is like you said, you guys are an unknown squad. There's I haven't heard of any of you guys prior to this. So definitely myself, I had put you pretty low in my internal rankings. But I am looking forward to you guys on back and proving yourselves, because that I mean that's always it's always so fun. And then it makes your shit talk even better. Because then you
For
could
sure.
say, okay, well, fuck you, look where I am now. I did kind of mention earlier, that like I do like a great underdogs story and plot point. Do you guys kind of view yourselves as like underdogs? No name recognition, no prior experience. Would you say you view yourself as the underdogs currently, or not quite?
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's something that I think is that we're really going to be a little bit judged for a while by their performance in this first split. I think by everybody else, even intentionally or otherwise. So we are going to do our best to make it memorable in one way or another. Hopefully, not negatively.
Yeah, for sure. Um, this I guess being underdogs kind of does have this. I want to say momentum, but I'm not really quite sure the word I want to say. But like, what what's the team's atmosphere like right now? Like, you guys are sitting 0-2 in the standings. Are you guys, or like, even just speaking for yourself, like, are you struggling? Like, are you frustrated with the losses? Like, how are you feeling? I guess just as a like a basic.
Yeah, I would say certainly for me, that 0-2 series was a little bit taxing, but I'm feeling pretty positive. I think that as long as I have something to work on and improve, and our my team's like down to keep going, I certainly am, and I am getting that vibe from them, and I'm feeling pretty positive. I really enjoy the change of pace this is from solo queue, so I like it.
Any change of pace of solo queue is a good change of pace. Oh God.
That's true.
Um,
Especially, I think I am at close to 80 games on Azir on my alt.
I that was actually my next question. Is it seems when you're learning a champ, you go fucking headfirst into that. You will grind games and then you just switch to something else. I think before this, you had like 10 Ori games back to back to back to back.
Yeah, it's Oriana and Azir right now. I have to keep my main. I have to keep playing on my main because of the solo queue mandate. So I had this moment in I think it was in a scrim when or it was either in a scrim or the match, the first week match, and my coach asked me if I wanted Oriana or Mel, and I told them like just give me Mel because I'm not confident in my Oriana. And then I stepped back and I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, so if I'm saying that, I should either go play a bunch of games on this champion and like get confident in picking it, or I should just drop it from my champion pool. So I didn't want to really like I feel like I'm in a good spot with the number of champions I want to play. I'm not gonna list any lists in particular, but I have a good number, let's say, and yeah, I from that I do jump in and when I kind of pick something up, and for me, a long time I kind of had this champion ADHD where I would play 50 games on Talia and Syndra, and then I would get bored, and then I would switch to 50 games of what was it even after that, like to 100 games of Hui, and then
I think you had some games of
um
Yone on there as well.
yeah, I used to play Thunder Yone. I think I have 400k mastery on him. Um, so just throwing this out, some or all of this may or may not end up getting picked in future matches. I will leave that to speculation to the future enemy team mid laners. But I think with Azir, he was something in particular. I'm medicated now, so I have less of a problem with just jumping and like getting bored randomly. And then I just played like 20 games of Brawl because I was bored, and I just clicked Azir and it was fun. And then I was like, okay, this guy's hard. I've wanted to play him for a while. Um, what if I just go grab my alt? And what if I just go play some games on the alt? And that worked out. And none of my coaches, none of my friends were like, no, you shouldn't do this. They were just like, but why? So I took that as a sign to do it, and then I just like I'm like 70 plus games here. I'm here, and I know I'm not anywhere near the end of learning Azir. Like there's some great stuff if you go hunt down my VODs. There's some not so great stuff. Um, but I do think that there's no substitute to putting in the time, especially on a champion that complex. And it's if we're gonna be in a spot to win or get far into playoffs or anything, it's not gonna come without hard work.
That is the perfect attitude going into competitive. Honestly, like I think that is exactly how players need to be. Is like just fucking play games. The most important question I have about yours here is: can you Shurima shuffle?
Yes. In
Fuck
fact, my
yeah!
problem is that I do it too much.
You're looking for the highlight play every time.
Yeah, it's not a good habit. But it is. It's you start somewhere. I also have the problem that you can cast the Azir ultimate anytime during the dash. So I have a problem if I'll do it and then I will press like R half a second too early, and I won't get my targets in the ult because it comes out right in front of their face instead of on them.
Wow. Have
So hopefully you don't have to see that in game, but
have
you
you
might.
gotten to play it yet? I don't think I've.
Yeah, I think both weeks I played it. There is. I played it again. I thought I played it in both weeks. I did play it week 1 for sure. Thought I picked it game 2, week 2. Ionia Green. It might not have been week 2, but I've had played it week 1. And
Oh yeah,
then,
there it is. I think in game 3, Sejuani, Ornn, Azir, Sivir, Lulu. Is that you guys?
yep.
Okay. Wow, that is awesome. That is a really good attitude to have about it. Genuinely, like I also feel you very hard about champion ADHD. Um, but for me, it's because every ADC is the exact same fucking carbon copy of each other. Walk up, you right click. You walk up, you right click. It's not. There's not a whole lot of variation in what you do with AD champs. So that it's more of that reason and less anything else. Um, yeah, that's okay. I really look forward. I think I want to see that
Yep.
Azir. I definitely want to see that Azir. I
I'm
gotta try
confident
about
you will
those.
again.
That's
And
so
yeah,
cool.
the other reason is that I did this and I played a bunch of games on my Smurf, and my coaches were like kind of ambivalent about letting me play it. And then they talked more and they thought about it and they're like, okay, well, if Rin is playing a ton of Azir on their Smurf, like we kind of have to tell Zer to play it, because if he doesn't put a ton of games into it, it's just never going to be worth playing, and it's just wasting time. So go play it, I guess.
Um, I do have a question from Zed though, and it is something
Yes.
I've also wondered about. Where it doesn't have to be super serious. Where did you get the name Girltwink CEO? Because that is a name I have never seen ever. Like most people, when they're going into competitive, they're like, okay, I gotta change my name to something fucking badass, right? Like you guys
Yeah.
have, I think, Resilient on your roster, or like as a sub.
Yeah.
That's a badass name, right? You have
Yes.
Humble, you had KTL, you have 2-5. Like those are all fucking badass names, and then Girl Twink CEO is just breaking into the fucking scene out of nowhere.
Just smashing the wall down, Kool-Aid Man style. Yeah, so it wasn't something I put a ton of thought in. I I hang out a lot in Ionia, and that we'll just like all change our names to be some kind of theme, and it was the theme of the week was CEO of X. So I just sat there like, I want something that is like really like striking and like very a little bit silly, and I've always like kind of like that juxtaposition between those two words and then just putting them together. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go with this. And then I liked it a lot when I had it in Discord, and I changed my league name to it. And then I don't think I've changed it since. I name hop a lot in League and in Discord, but I've stuck with this one a while, and I'll probably stick with it for the Aegis split at least.
God, that is perfect. It is a really memorable name. I will give you that. Like I gotta say, I don't think there's ever been a time where I was like, oh, what was the name of Ionia's mid laner? Because it's always been, oh, well, that's just Girl Twink CEO, like without a doubt, obviously. Yeah, that has been one of our most burning questions. Whenever I talk to him about interviewing you, he always goes, "You have to ask about the name. Like you have to ask about that." Um, that. So I'm glad I was able to
Also,
get that out of the way.
if you look at my well, if you ever get a good look at my champion pool, you will find that it is composed of girls, twinks, and edgelords. Bonus points for the more of these that stack up. So it's also a minor reference to that.
Oh wow. And then I guess I kind of just have one last pretty easy question going on for you is has fearless been a challenge so far? Like you don't have to give me what your picks are, but um do you expect it to be an issue going forward, not just for you but also for your team? Having to pick up to 3 unique champions in a series can, I mean, for some people it can be definitely an issue, if you're not practiced on a lot of things, or if you were an OT before this. um is do you think it's going to present any issues going forward?
I think not particularly. If anything, we've had to work to make sure we're focused on the right number of champions, kind of cut some things down and not play too many things at once. On the flip side, going into playoffs, when that becomes best of five, it's you can especially if you're getting target bid, you can run pretty dry on picks pretty quickly. You're looking at, you have to have like up to 10 options there in game five of a close series if you're targeted hard enough. So like we're pretty prepared there. I know our ADC has no issues with this. I don't really think any of us will. And if we run into that spot where, it's game three, game four, game five, and people have been churning through like my pool or our top laners pool, like we have some stuff we can go to. So I'm not worried at all. And
Okay.
it's honestly, I like Fearless way more than non-Fearless in a tournament setting. I feel like, especially when you don't have that highest level of pro play, you get into a spot where if you just don't have a big champion pool, you get really aggressively targeted and you can't do anything about it at all, or you what's the way I want to put it? Or it's the match meta, the in-match meta kind of devolves into just like seeing our almost repeat games, and I really appreciate that Fearless removes that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I listen. I wish I could have played this split. I really do because when I heard it was going fearless, I knew for a fact I was gonna benefit. I mean, like I said, it's ADC, so it's like, who the fuck cares, right? Like, AD is, you can slap almost any ADC any in any order,
Yeah,
and it's the exact same fucking thing. Um, but
yeah.
I will say I hated the meta of Varus, Ashe, Tristana, Caitlyn. That shit gives me
Oh,
absolute. It is the worst shit ever. I hate playing into it every time, and it's because every ADC on this goddamn server loves to play fucking Varus. It's especially Varus, and it's so annoying. So I am so happy that Fearless is coming into Aegis because it means if I let Varus through one game, I don't ever have to ban it ever again. They did it for me. Thank
yep,
God. Oh, sorry.
exactly.
Bit of a rant. I
No, it's
was
fine.
big
Okay.
hate for Varus. I hate when it's meta. I hate when I run into OTPs. It's so lame. That's kind of it for me. I will say last one. What is your predictions going into week three? As you take on Shadow Guard and Hexroot Covenant.
Yeah, I'm feeling for us. We're gonna find that angle. We're gonna push for at least a 2-1 here. I am saying that having done no scouting yet whatsoever, but I know we've got our main jungler back, and I am going to be confident until proven otherwise. And given that this is our first match against every one of these teams, I'm just going to be confident.
Awesome. I mean, that's the way it should be. I again, I wish you guys luck. I really want to see you guys pull it up and fucking start hitting some people. It makes for a great narrative. It's great storytelling. And it's always, I don't know who doesn't like to cheer for the underdogs. Okay, like that's the biggest
For
fucking
sure.
thing is if you get that narrative going for your guys' self, I think everyone will want to see you guys do well. Um, so that's everything for me. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come talk with me and answer some questions. Um, good luck going into week three. I really am cheering for you guys. Yeah, have a good week three.
Thank you so much.